Take a deep breath. Feel the weight of the day soften, like sand slipping gently between your fingers. You're safe now, here by the shore of imagination, where the ocean hums softly beneath a silver moon. Let your body grow still. Let your thoughts drift, slow and light as sea foam. Tonight, we'll wander through the quiet history of the ocean, not through storms or grand voyages, but through the gentle rhythms of those who lived by its side long ago. The sea has always been more than water. It has been memory, spirit, and song. So, close your eyes and listen to the echoes of the ocean. Long before ships crossed the horizon, before maps traced the shape of the world, people lived beside the sea as though it were kin. They built small wooden huts near the water, their walls fragrant with salt and driftwood smoke. In the early mornings, fishermen would step barefoot into the tide, feeling the pulse of the waves through their soles. The air was cool and sharp, and the cries of distant seabirds echoed across the wide, open sky. The sea was a teacher, steady, unhurried, and patient. They believed it remembered everything: the footsteps of the first wanderers, the laughter of children on the sand, the whispers of those who had passed into legend. When the wind changed, it was said the ocean spoke, not in words, but in sounds that carried meaning to the heart. In the evenings, when nets were drawn in and lamps were lit, the villagers would sit by the shore and listen. The tide, rolling and retreating, sounded like breathing, and somewhere between the sigh of the waves, they could almost hear the ocean's voice, old, kind, and endless. The villagers believed every sound upon the coast carried a spirit. The hollow song of a shell held the laughter of sea children. The bubbling of water against rock was the murmur of unseen watchers. Even the creak of a fishing boat, rocking in its moorings, spoke of journeys that would one day begin and end beneath these same skies. There was an old woman who lived near the edge of the dunes, her name lost to time, though her story lingers. She was said to rise before dawn, carrying a clay jug to the water's edge. There she would scoop seawater, whispering soft words that no one could quite hear. Some said she was greeting old spirits, others believed she was listening to memories carried from faraway lands. She taught the children to listen to the ocean, not with their ears, but with their patience. "Wait," she would say, "and the sea will tell you something you have forgotten." Far along the same coast stood an ancient harbor, now only stones beneath shallow water. In the days of its life, merchants and sailors came from distant lands, from isles heavy with spices, from cities carved into desert cliffs. They traded pearls and coral, fine fabrics dyed in ocean colors. But when storms shifted the sandbanks, the harbor grew still. No ships came, no laughter echoed through the taverns. Only the wind remained, brushing across the ruins like fingers turning the pages of an old book. Now, centuries later, the tide still visits that place, gentle and unchanging. It curls around the sunken walls, weaving seaweed where ropes once hung. Sometimes, when the moonlight shines just right, you can see the faint outlines of old ships beneath the water, ghosts of cedar and oak, sleeping in silence. It is said that on such nights, the ocean hums a little louder, as though remembering its long-ago friends. There was a time when sailors believed waves carried meaning. Each ripple, each curve of foam, told a story, a rhythm as ancient as language itself. Some monks even tried to write it down. In old monasteries by the cliffs, parchment pages were filled with drawings of spirals and swirls, labeled with careful ink: the third wave of morning, the quiet breaker, the memory tide. They watched, studied, and listened, believing that in the motion of the sea, God spoke softly to the patient observer. These monks lived slow lives. They rose before dawn to light candles, their flames trembling in the ocean wind. After prayers, they would walk to the cliff's edge and close their eyes, listening to the waves rise and fall far below. To them, each sound was sacred. Each drop of salt water, a small reflection of eternity. Farther north, beyond fog and rocky coasts, there was another village made almost entirely from driftwood. Every home was shaped by the ocean's gifts: polished beams from distant lands, old planks carved by waves, shells set into the walls like stars. The villagers believed the sea brought them what they needed, not merely wood and fish, but reminders that life was always moving, always returning. When storms came, They tied their homes with rope and sang songs to the wind. The songs were not pleas, but greetings, soft, circular melodies that rose and fell like the tide itself. And when the storms passed, the people would walk the beach, collecting what the ocean left behind: a glass bead, a twisted rope, a small carved figure. Each item found its place in their homes, and the sea, in turn, became part of their stories. Even now, the ocean remembers. Beneath its calm surface lie layers of centuries: coral blooming where temples once stood, silver coins from lost ships resting beside sleeping fish, stories unspoken but never gone. Every wave that touches the shore carries a trace of time, a whisper of someone who once stood where you now imagine yourself standing. Perhaps that is why the sound of the sea soothes us, because it speaks of continuity, of belonging, of all lives connected by the rhythm of water. So when you next hear the slow breathing of the ocean, in the hush between thoughts, in the quiet moments before sleep, remember that you are listening to history itself. Soft, vast, and eternal. Now let your mind grow quiet. The sea continues its soft whispering, back and forth, back and forth. Imagine the waves carrying you gently, like a small boat rocking under starlight. The moon is rising, the air is cool, and all around you, the echoes of the ocean sing a lullaby older than words. You are safe here, floating in the cradle of time. Drift and sleep.